Hi, good morning. This is my first ever podcast, so forgive me if I get many things wrong. But I've been watching so many other people's podcasts around the world on knitting and various crafty things that are going on. I just thought I'd join in and see what people make of it and see if they want to see if they're interested in what I'm knitting and what I'm doing and what I'm going to do next, etc. So I'm coming to you from the island of Tiree. It's a small island about 12 miles long on the west coast of Scotland, part of the Hebrides, the Inner Hebrides. And it's a beautiful place. As you can see today, we've got very calm weather. I can show you a wee bit of the water. They're looking out towards Mull and over down towards Iona, etc. Anyway, a stunning place, and it's very nice today, which it isn't always, but we're very lucky today. So I thought I'd do this recording outside and have you a wee chat through what I've got on the go and see if you're interested in what's happening. Great. So I call myself the sock fairy mainly because I do knit a lot of socks, and like a fairy, these just sort of appear from nowhere, and I enjoy knitting socks. But I don't have any socks to show you today. Isn't that strange? I've just remembered one more thing I wanted to show you, but I've not pulled it out. So anyway, I'll save that for a next time. It's the Musselburgh hats by Yosolda from Edinburgh. She did some lovely hats, some lovely patterns, and I've got a couple of hers. But I took an obsession with Musselburgh hats last year and ended up knitting about 5 or 6 of them. So I haven't managed to pull them out for this. So I'll save them for the next one, and maybe you'll come back and see my next episode. Anyway. I've also got a little Instagram called Tiree Knits because I started knitting in Tiree about a year ago. Well, I started knitting when I was much younger, but as far as Tiree goes, I started knitting on Tiree a year ago because we only moved here a year ago. Anyway, if you want to settle down, grab your project, potter away on what you're doing while I'm blethering on, that'll be great fun, and you can maybe drop me a wee comment and let me know what you've been making. So here we go. So the first thing I wanted to show you was something you've probably all heard of before. It was a definite popular knit a few years ago, and I came late to the party. Well, I bought the yarn probably about the time it was a very popular knit, but I found it recently in my stash and thought, oh, it's about time I did something with that. So I picked up the hitchhiker's scarf pattern and knitted it here in Tiree. So it's a beautiful, it's got a beautiful peaky edge, and you can just drape it round very comfortably, and you've got the edge poking out. It's very interesting, and this yarn is by the original yarn that's in the pattern. Actually, I was lucky enough to have that. It's Wool Miser, and it's I believe it's a 4-ply. The wall band went, a few months ago. And the interesting thing about this yarn from Wool Miser is it comes in 150 grams. Now, most skeins you get are 100 grams, but to get one in 150 and to make such a long, beautiful drapey scarf is fantastic. So I consider myself very lucky to have this, and I'm delighted I got it finished and I got something out my stash to use up. So that was good. Something else I have here that you might be interested in is Tiree's very famous for hares, and this is my little hare. I can't take any credit for the pattern. It's an Animal Knits book, and I should have looked out the name of the author. Sorry, apologies. I'll find it for later. And it's a pretty wee hare who's got very long dangly legs, so a children's toy really. There's nothing harmful in it. There's no wires or hard eyes or anything. It's all just embroidered on, so it's nice and soft and safe. And it's got an interesting pattern I found on the skirt. If you could see that, you're sort of picking up a stitch from 2 or 3 rows below and bringing it up, and it just makes this beautiful wee interesting edge to the bottom of her dress. Anyway, that's the hare, and I just thought I'd bring it in because Tiree is full of hares. We've got maybe 4 or 5 that come and visit in the garden in the morning, and at night you can see them bouncing around the fields, having fun, chasing each other, and just generally enjoying life. We really don't get rabbits here for some reason, but we've definitely got hares, and they are plentiful and not causing too much harm, I don't think. Anyway, moving on. I wanted to show you this project which I've just finished, and it's by Valentina Bogdanova. It isn't blocked. It isn't blocked, so it still needs to be blocked. I'll get it blocked in the next couple of weeks. But it was sold as, the pattern was sold as a t-shirt, so the sleeve should have stopped about here. But I thought a 3/4 length sleeve would suit me better, given that we sometimes get it quite windy and cold here. So that suited me fine. It's got a very interesting pattern. If you can see, it's, the yoke is beautifully detailed, and then it goes into a very plain bottom, so as soon as you finish the yoke, it's super quick to finish. And the lovely thing about the neckline is this scalloped edge, which is stunning, and I think once it's blocked, it will look even more stunning, and it will just frame the face, which is a really interesting concept. The pattern's called Rini de Pecas, by Valentina Bogdanova, as I say. And I knitted it in Pendle Sport by Eden Cottage Yarns. I quite often use Eden Cottage Yarns because they are a very good small business who do beautiful colours. And her Instagram's very busy, and she posted up this yarn, and it was so pretty. It's called the Pendle Sport weight, and the colour of it is Whispering Grass. So as always, when you get on the internet and you look at Instagram, etc., you don't always get a true sense of the colours, and you're perhaps not seeing a true sense of this colour either. But what I wanted was a sort of creamy sandy colour, because I felt that would be summery, and the short sleeves would work well for the summer. So I'm delighted with how this has turned out, and I'm delighted with the colour it is. And I certainly would recommend the yarn, the Eden Cottage yarns, because she's got a lovely eye for colour and tones everything really, really well. Now, moving on. Okay, I wanted to show you this old coat, I guess. It's called the Tail Coat by Carrie Helene Raine, R-A-N-E. And it's in 100% alpaca. I'll just pull my hanger a bit closer. And what it is, if I move back, you might see it better. It's a stunning, really huge coat with a lovely tail to it and interesting shaping coming in at the waist. It's constructed in an unusual way. There's sort of panels all over the place. Panels going round the bottom and panels coming up, and then this extra panel giving a sort of an illusion of a collar all the way round. And I love it. There's a sort of moss stitch in this part of the panel, but this part's ribbed. So lots of interest there to certainly keep you going if you do that. I would recommend it. It's called the Issi, I-S-S-I, the Issi Tailcoat by Carrie, and I love it, and it is so cosy. You can throw it on over anything. I've gone for a neutral shade, and I just love putting it on and feeling roasty, toasty, cosy. If I was doing it again, I think I would do it all in one colour. Sorry, you can probably hear the sheep and the lambs baaing behind me. I would do it in one colour because I do sometimes think the two tones I've done it in detract from it a wee bit, and that you're not sure whether you're wearing it with grey or you're wearing it with fawn. Yes, sorry, sheep. And he's joining in. So if I did it again, I would do it all in one colour. I think that would be better. In fact, I would like to do it again. When I bought it, I bought the yarn and the pattern direct from the designer. She was at a yarn festival I was at, and it's a sort of super chunky weight, so that's great. But as I say, if I did it again, I probably would go all one shade, just to make it more practical and useful for me. Now, like anybody, I have disasters, so not too much of a disaster here, but I guess, yes, I would say it's a bit of a disaster. What I've got here is the Spectre by Jolie Loccaretti. Now, I'll just show you the yoke. It's a sweater, and the interesting thing is she's got all this sort of mock cables going up and down and round, and it's quite an intricate pattern to get the decreases in for your neck to go down and then carrying on down. So I've stopped there, and I'm actually going to take it out and rip it out and do something else with this yarn. I do like the pattern. It's a 4-ply, so it's going to take a long while to knit, and it's taken me a fair bit just to get this much done, which isn't really, it's just at the top of the shoulders. The problem I have with it is twofold. I tend to think if you've got a pattern that's very busy, you don't necessarily want a lot of colour because it detracts from the pattern. And if you've got a lot of colour, you don't really want to do an intricate pattern because it detracts from the colour. So what I was trying to do here was not thinking through my logic, and I was using these balls, these mini balls that I got from Castleview Yarns. No, not Castleview Yarns, sorry. I'll just pull out the list. Oh, she hasn't put her name. Oh, yes, it is Castleview Yarns. Sorry, Castleview Yarns. She did her advent last year in 2022. So for 24 days of December, I opened a new ball and had some nice wee treats with it as well. A few wee stitch markers and a wee inch tape and different wee gifts she'd put in with it, which made it very special. And the theme was mermaids, so everything sort of had a bluish shade and tone, and it all went together beautifully. So I've got 24 of these little balls, and I was racking my brain as to what to do with them, and it was getting close to May, and I was thinking I should get going on something, which is why I picked this Spectre pattern and started knitting it. And the idea was I was starting with a light sort of aqua green colour, and I was going to take it down into the dark blues and then on to the purples. And I thought that would be quite nice, and I'd have to figure out a way of trying to make the sleeves match with the two tones coming down. However, as I say, because you've got a busy pattern and lots of colour, I just think it distracts from it. You can't fully see really enough of the colour without looking at the pattern, or enough of the pattern without looking at the colour. So I'm afraid that one's going to have to get ripped out and start again. And any bright suggestions of what to do with my 24 mini balls would be very useful. It's a 4-ply, it's merino and wool, I think. Yep. There's no nylon in it, so I can't use it for socks. But I do love it. I also ordered 2 extra skeins in just undyed, and there was a couple of reasons I did that. It's superwash merino. It's 100% merino. The reason I bought 2 extra, I was thinking if my 24 balls, mini balls, wouldn't be enough to do a sweater, then at least if I've got some contrast of the base, I could play about with that and add on. Or I could even start dyeing and try a wee whirl at that. I don't know if any of you have tried dyeing before. I did buy a kit, but it's languishing beside my stash and it's not getting used anytime soon. So perhaps I could dye these into a turquoisey type colour, and I could maybe rip this out and do something with it. But I need to have another think about that, and it's probably more a winter project. So I'm going to put that away for now and have a wee think about it, and when I rip that out, maybe I'll have some bright ideas from you guys. But that would be lovely. I came across this in my stash. I just thought you might be interested in this. This is an interesting company, again a Scottish company. Teal Wood Cap is the name of this colour, and it's by Dystopic Fibre. An interesting young company who are doing fabulous work in the dyeing sphere. They have lots of themes, like Halloween-y type theme, or a space theme, or whatever. And I can't remember what theme this came off, but I just did like the colour. I love the turquoisey, greeny shade, and because it is a merino with nylon, you know what I'm going to knit. I'm going to have to go for socks, and I might even get 2 little pairs of socks out of it, or even just a pair of very long socks. And then, because it's got the wee black in it, it's got a black fleck through it. Probably not put too much of a pattern into the sock, just keep it really simple so that the colour can stand on its own without the pattern detracting from it. Anyway, that one there. So what am I working on just now? Well, I was lucky enough last week to get to Ginty and Ba, which is a needlecraft store near Dunoon. It's down on the outskirts of Dunoon in Argyll and Bute. And she's got a fabulous store there with loads of wool, beautiful sock yarns, and all sorts of other special yarns. She also does incredible materials. So if you're somebody that likes patchworks, I'm sure you could go there and get quite happily lost for an hour or two as you browse around and pick what you want. So anyway, I popped in there, and she had this lovely sweater hanging up at the door, a summer t-shirt really, and I thought that would be very nice for the summer. I think I'll do that. And it had a wee bit of a challenge in it with the pattern, a sort of lacy pattern coming up the front. However, again, back to my theme. I should have a wee theme for this. Today definitely is colour and pattern, pattern and colour. The wool that was recommended was this, which is and it is Bonton, which is it's got lovely greens and a little bit of blue and a bit of pink and orange and creams, and it just keeps on going. You know, it's got maybe 10 yards of each colour and then it moves on to another one. It's not that regular, it's random. And there's sort of variations in the individual colours as well. You can probably see that with the peach and the cream coming through the peach. So it is a beautiful yarn. However, when I looked at it and I remembered my logic from the Spectre, I thought I don't really want to do a lacy pattern when I've got lots of colour coming out here, and colour I do love. So I decided, because a lot of you had recommended it, that the Petite Knits Cumulus Tee had to be done, and this might be perfect. So here it is, and this is what I'm working on just now, and I am just loving how this is turning out. So if I just hold up the shoulders here, you'll see what I mean. It's really knitting up beautifully. That's the back you're looking at there. The front, a nice V, and it's got sort of an I-cord round the front when I get round to doing that. So this will take another couple of days, and this time I probably am going to go with the length of sleeves she recommends, because I think this, if the weather's going to stay like this, you don't want to knit something too long sleeved. It makes you want to wear it now and have it short. So anyway, I'm loving doing this just now. I'm loving the fact that it's a very plain, simple pattern, and I'm not having to worry about a complicated pattern when there's lots of colour. Just basically let the colour stand on its own. And the interesting thing is, you've probably all done this before. I hadn't done too much of it. Well, I've done a bit of sweater knitting before, but the way the increases work down the raglan, it's very pretty. It's just like a simple, almost looks like a wee simple chain stitch coming down, and it's just increasing. And of course, because the colour is variegated, you can see the colour pattern goes on over the shoulder and round the arm. So this makes it very pleasing to the eye that it's all intentional, being built like this. So I am enjoying that. That's great, and that's the main thing I'm working on just now. Nothing else on the pins just now. Well, there's one or two unfinished projects, but they aren't visible at the moment, so I'll keep them that way just now. What's coming up? Well, there's a couple of things coming up. The island has an agricultural fair in July, and they have a little handicraft home section where you can put in baking. Everybody everybody bakes the same walnut cake and it gets judged, and there's a handicraft section, so there's some crochet and some knitting asked for. So I am thinking of putting in 2 knitting objects there. One of them's to be a knitted matinee jacket for a baby. Now I have a niece who's about to have a baby in November, so if I was to knit that, it wouldn't be wasted. It could go to the new baby, which would be fine. So from that point of view, when my practical head on, I think knitting a matinee jacket would be fine. And if it does well or it does badly, it doesn't really matter, because it's got a good home to go to when the baby arrives. So I probably will do that. And the other thing is a baby blanket. So again, it could go to the same baby when it's born. Sorry, my dog is just chasing the lambs, but not really. So please don't get the RSPCA onto me. He's a little mini sausage dog, and he owns his own garden, and he doesn't want the lambs coming up to the fence eating the flowers. But the lambs are standing their ground and not caring about such a silly little sausage dog. Anyway, back to the blanket. So the baby blanket has to be done in colour mix. Now my friend has interpreted that as a variegated yarn. It should be used for the baby blanket, but I've interpreted it as I could do a bit of Interasia. That's my thoughts, and do a baby blanket that way. And there is a pattern I've spotted on Ravelry that I do like, so I might pick up yarn for that soon and get going on it. If it's to be finished for July, then it's June tomorrow, I think, or the next day. It's not too far away. So that's one thing I think I'd like to do. And another thing is, one of my favourite suppliers has just put out a 50% sale on a lot of their yarn. So I'm glancing at that this morning and seeing all the lovely sweaters you guys have been making for winter, really, but they're with maybe 4-ply and mohair. So a mix of the 2 yarns together. And I have never done that. I've done a lot of jumpers, a lot of sweaters, and I've never added in a mohair. And I think a mohair would be good because of all the reasons people have put on their podcasts before. I think it would be good for the structure, and I think it would be good for the softness and the sheen and the effect that you're going to get. It's just going to feel lovely and cozy and fluffy and pleasant. So my next task is to have a wee quandary about colours and see what I should order from them today, because strike while the iron's hot, their sale won't last forever, and it is a really good deal, the prices they're giving. So I think I will get onto that right away, and maybe just take a random stab at how much I need for a normal sweater for myself, and pick up the yarn from them. And then it probably will be £40 or £50 as opposed to £80 or £90, and therefore, yes, it's adding to the stash, but it could be tempting to pick up a nice pattern from one of your recommendations and see what I could do for the winter with some lovely cozy yarn that will just make island life feel very comfortable next winter. And that's really all I wanted to say. Sorry for the interruptions with the sheep and the lambs and the dog, etc. You've probably heard the birds as well. We have lots of birds here. If you're at all a bird watcher, you'll know about Tiree, because it's quite well known for having a lot of migratory birds stop here for a wee refuel before they head on their way to wherever they're going. And it's a very interesting place from that point of view, and I'm enjoying that side of things. So I hope you managed to get some of your project done while I was blethering away, and I hope you liked what I showed you. I would like to come back again and give you an update on the blanket, the baby blanket, if I ever get it going, or hopefully I should have this finished in the next, I would say the next week, maybe less, a couple of days. Should have that one finished, and that would be nice to let you see how it came out, and maybe I could try it on. And hopefully I've got the right size and I'm happy with it. But I've tried it on so far, and it does fit really nicely over the shoulders and down to about here, so I am pleased with it so far. So it's looking good that it's not going to be ripped out, which is a bonus, because there's nothing sadder than having to rip it out and start it again. But it's all down to your swatch checking, and yes, you don't always have to believe the ball band, so check your own, because it can be very different. Okay, so thank you for watching. Please enjoy all your projects you're doing, whether it's crochet, knitting, sewing, or whatever it is, and I hope to see you again. Thank you very much. Bye.